Hi, I'm Sally. Welcome back to Drive-In Dishes. Today we're going to make a recipe for spinach pies. And these spinach pies have cheese in them, so they're not appropriate for the fast. I can make them two different ways. You can lay them out all in one sheet, but I prefer to wrap them up in a triangle because that's the way my child likes them, and they're just more convenient that way. So today we're going to roll them up in triangles, and I'll show you all of that in a few minutes. Okay? What you need, and I've already kind of mixed it in here, is I put about 6 ounces of feta cheese. Or you can go to the store and get the really expensive feta cheese from the grocery store and get that much, but personally I prefer to go to the Middle Eastern market, get a big tub of Bulgarian feta cheese. Tastes much better, less expensive. So we've got 6 ounces of feta cheese here, 8 ounces of whole milk ricotta, and I've put in a 1/4 cup of Parmesan as well. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to have 1 egg, which we're going to put on top of the cheeses and blend it in really well. We've also got a package here that I've thawed out of chopped spinach. I got it frozen, I thawed it out, 1 package, okay? I will tell you about the butter and oil in just a minute. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to crack the egg into the cheese mixture. And I left that to the end because I don't want to take the egg out of the fridge until when we need it, okay? Now, there's a couple of ways you can mix this all together because the feta cheese can be kind of hard to really blend in well. You can use a fork, okay? You can use a potato masher. This is a pastry blender. Really doesn't make a difference. Whatever you want to do is fine. I'm going to use a pastry blender. And you're going to just go back and forth and make sure everything is well blended in here. Make sure that egg is well blended in with the cheeses, the 3 cheeses. Okay, and that's what it looks like. So the cheeses are blended in with the eggs. We're going to put the spinach in with the cheeses. I want you to make sure that you squeeze out. See, I've got a strainer here and a bowl underneath. I want to make sure even after you've thawed out that spinach, you squeeze out all the extra water because you don't want the spinach pies to be too moist. I mean, just grab it. You know, you should really make sure you squeeze out every last drop from that spinach. See how much moisture is in there? And you won't get very much spinach when you're done, but that's okay. You don't need that much. All right, I think we've got as much water as it can possibly drain from it. And we're going to dump that all into the cheese mixture and mix it up with our fork. We don't need the masher right now. We're just going to gently mix it up. You don't need to mash the spinach. You're just blending it. Okay? All right, next step, we need phyllo dough. I brought out 2 versions of phyllo dough here because I didn't want you to get confused when you go buy it, okay? Phyllo dough nowadays is really available everywhere. Unfortunately, the kind you get in your grocery store isn't going to be the freshest, so I like to go to the Middle Eastern market, but in a pinch, the grocery store is fine. So you've got 2 different kinds here, and you see the numbers here on the bottom, 4 and 7? Well, this one's a little bit thicker. The 7 is a little bit thicker phyllo dough. So that's perfectly fine for spinach pies. You can also use the 4, which I tend to use more for baklava, and it's thinner sheets. I'm going to use number 7 for spinach pies today, although you can use either one, is fine. Now, the key with phyllo dough is treating it delicately. You know, I bought it from the freezer section. I knew I was going to use it today, so I put it in the freezer, in the refrigerator until just before I was ready to use it. Then I took it out and laid it out on my table. So it's really easy to handle if you know how to treat it the right way. Don't be afraid of it. See, this is nice, fresh phyllo dough. Should come out very soft, no cracks in it. It's beautiful. Okay, now, since I've decided I'm going to roll it up in triangles, I'm going to cut in 3, I'm going to make 3 slices in my sheet of phyllo dough here. You see, it's pretty wide. Okay, so we're going to make 3 cuts with a serrated knife. This is a serrated knife, pointy tips. And that's what we're going to use to make our little spinach pie triangles. I've also got here ready, I've melted half a cup of butter with half a cup of vegetable oil. If you want, you can use all butter. I kind of like it this way because it doesn't burn as much. All right. So we're going to just estimate here. Into 3 even sections. Okay. Now, this, like I said, this phyllo dough tends to be a little bit thicker. So you don't need more than 1 sheet. It's pretty thick. If you're using the phyllo dough that you use for baklava, you're going to use 2 sheets, okay? We're going to take 1 strip of phyllo dough. Baste it with butter and oil mixture. This is my fancy baster. You don't have to use something like this. You can just use a regular pastry brush. And the key here is you're going to do a very light drizzle. You're not exactly going to paint the whole thing. You just want a little bit of butter and oil, and we'll do more of it later, okay? I'm going to take just a little bit of the spinach pie mixture, okay? And we're going to roll it up like a flag. So if you've ever rolled up a flag, you know what I'm talking about. We're going to roll up one edge like this. Okay, in a triangle. Roll it up in another triangle, like that, and you'll just keep going in triangles. You really can't mess it up at this point. You know, it's dough. It's going to bake, and it's going to turn out beautiful, so don't worry about what your triangles look like. Here I go. I'm still making triangles, rolling up my flag. And we're going to stick it on the edge of our pan here. So we're going to stick all these triangles in rows so they're next to each other, they don't open up while they're baking, and we're going to drizzle the rest of the butter and oil mixture at the end so they get that nice flakiness. Okay, so let's make a couple more. Again, just a light drizzle of the butter and oil. And make your triangles. Roll up your flag. And here we go. We're going to stick them right next to each other. They won't stick to each other when you're all done. They'll be nice and flaky and pop right out. All right, well, we're going to bake these. I'm going to finish them up, bake them, and then we'll be back and I'll show you the finished product, okay? All that's left for me to do is put the rest of them in rows just like this, and whatever is left of the butter and oil, we'll pour it right over. We're going to put it in a 350-degree oven. You'll find that that's the temperature I tend to use for all of these things. And then you're going to give it about 20-25 minutes. You want to see it turn a little bit golden brown on the top, and I'll show you what that looks like. We'll be right back.